So Hyundai, I'm trying to get every possible
Like Sunday.
global pronunciation.
That Korean
Right.
company that makes cars.
Yes, that makes cars. Yeah. So Hyundai asked to recall their cars. The South Korean government is forcing them to recall their cars. If you remember, there was a limited recall that Hyundai did previously to reprogram some of the cars for the charging strategy because some of them kind of caught on fire. And Hyundai said, well, I'll tell you what, don't charge past 90% at high speed charging and then have your cars flashed and you'll be fine. And then it turns out that one of the cars that had the previous recall performed caught on fire.
Whoops.
So now the South Korean government gets involved and they're like, okay, no, you're going to recall all the cars and you're going to replace all the batteries. And Hyundai said, well, now wait a minute. LG made the batteries. We just installed them. So you need LG to pay for this. And of course, Hyundai's doing this and LG's doing that because it's an LG part in a Hyundai car. And LG is accusing Hyundai of using incorrect strategies for proper battery management in their software. And so therefore Hyundai is to blame. This opens up a whole can of worms. And I don't see that this is much different than internal combustion engine cars. This just happens to be the first major component recall for an electric vehicle. The battery doesn't get much more major component than that. But imagine a manufacturer such as Ford, who is buying engines from an engine manufacturer, and now you have engines blowing gaskets or blowing rods or whatever. And Ford is made to recall the cars because of the engines that somebody else made. It's the same scenario, just now with electric vehicles. And I wanted to get you guys' thought on this. Would it make more sense for manufacturers to make their own batteries, or just be more careful in how the batteries are installed, and that kind of stuff?
I would say that who collected the money in the first place when the car was sold? Well, that would be Hyundai. So guess what? They're responsible for all the warranty issues.
We're not going to continue this discussion until you subscribe. Okay, just kidding. But really, you should subscribe to get more great stuff from us. Please.
Yeah, and then they can collect later from LG.
Yeah, if they're going to hire somebody to do piecemeal work to do their job for them, if they're going to buy parts from somebody else, then they're taking on that responsibility because they're putting it in their car with their badge and they're collecting the money. So guess what? It's their fault.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen manufacturers start their own batteries and they do well, but there aren't enough to serve the demand. So these third-party manufacturers are still going to have business for at least the next 5-6 years because we just need more batteries than there are out there. And this then draws the question to me, is this the same LG sells as what happened in the Chevy Bolt, the older ones, the Bolt EV? And they had the same situation. You had to cap them at 90% or they'd catch fire.
Yeah, and I had seen references, but nothing that said that they were the exact same, battery.
Oh, it's part number 02, not part number 01, but still LG.
Yeah, I mean, possibly, yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, as long as they do the right thing for the customer, I mean, these two big companies, they can coast and they can work it out together. There's no need to put the end user in the middle of this fight. Just fix it so their houses don't catch fire, their cars don't catch fire, and then we just go on. I mean, look at GM. They've started their own batteries. They're using a different part number. Just do the same thing.
It's
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Mark. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say that it's quite a bit of battery replacement that the South Korean government is requiring them to do. So that's going to be a serious hit on the bottom dollar for them, replacing that many batteries completely. It's the amount of time to take a battery out and ship a new unit, and the customer being inconvenienced for a period of time. It's going to add up to quite a bit of money.
A little time. They got to wait for a new battery to get built and shipped, and there are not enough of them already. I mean,
Yep.
Yeah.
Mark, you're not
The-
suggesting that structural battery packs are a bad idea, are you?
no. You just unbolt them and put a new
Not
one
if
in.
you made the battery correct in the first place. No.
That too.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, there's never a problem if it's correct in the first place.
And I agree with you completely. How's that? Both of you.
But this does bring up a topic that I kind of I kind of wanted. I'm hoping Paul would be on this show because of course we know that Paul takes cars apart and puts them back together. That's sort of what he does.
And none
But,
of us do that. Yeah.
I mean, conceptually, I think we know what goes into it. But yeah, personally, I've never removed it.
I think we could take them apart, Tony. I just don't think we could put them back together.
Yeah, that's true. No one pays Paul to take stuff apart. They pay him to put it back together.
Right. There we go.
But when you look at electric vehicles and you look at batteries and how clever manufacturers are becoming in using the battery as part of the frame as structural load, you look at the skateboard and how like Russell said, the battery becomes a structural component. What if something like this happens? And it doesn't even have to be a major $900 million recall, but
10 units,
a battery or two. Yeah, 10 units, 20 units.
So
You would have to scrap the entire car.
No. So when that happens today, with the ones that are either just rolling out or the ones that are proposed, you'll unload 4 to 8 massive bolts, and then when you do that, you make sure that the car is supported. So when you put the new one in, that it still fits back in. You retorque them to the correct spec, put a little Loctite on there. Now, if you built it so that this is part of the unibody, then you've got some dumb engineers.
Well, I mean, there's
Parts
some
break.
dumb engineers, and some people might say clever. Some people. Might
Clever,
say
yes,
ingenious.
but you'd have to like you guys all said, you'd have to make sure that they never break if it's part of the unitized structure. Because like you said, you'd be throwing the whole car away if there's no way to unbolt it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that's a risk that some manufacturers might be willing to?
Eventually, somebody's going to do it to try and save a little bit of extra pennies on the bolts because they're not small bolts.
Save on 6 bolts.
Yes. Well, they're going to be massive bolts because they have to be able to sustain the power that the car puts out, the weight that the customer's going to put on it, and then crash
75
test.
cents a bolt.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. We
Hey,
save
as
3
long
cents.
as it lasts, it just has to last 2 months out of warranty, and you're fine.
That's
2
right.
months out of
That's all it
warranty
has to
and the
do.
crash test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it does bring up, just to me, the question. We talked about how simple electric vehicles are, and we know they are.
They are.
But should the simplicity continue into the manufacturing and the design and the repairability?
Yes, because
Oh,
if you're not throwing it away, then that is, the first R is reduce and reuse, right? So recycle is the last step.
Right.
But you'll notice things like even with the common cell phone. Remember when the first cell phones came out? All the batteries were removable.
Yeah.
Change the
You
battery,
could get extra batteries. You could charge them up, put them in the car, in the phone anytime you wanted. But as time went along, they wanted all the usable space they could to make the phone last longer. So they started to close the case. You could never open it anymore. And batteries became so reliable that you didn't have to replace the battery for any reason.
Until they caught fire.
It was good for the life of the phone in typical cases. So that may be where the car is heading as well. After a number of different iterations, the battery always works. It never has to be replaced, and that's when you'll find maybe a unibody showing up because they feel that after 5 years of testing, they've never had a problem, and that's typically when something like that will happen.
Yeah, we did see that BMW that was supposed to use the skin as a battery. The skin of the car doesn't come off very easily. But we also see today some Linux smartphones that are the same thickness as the iPhone and the Galaxy that still do sport removable batteries. So it's a matter of priority to the manufacturer if they want to allow us to be able to do the right thing.
Yes.